The Sega Master System, released in September 1986 in North America, has just turned 30 this month. Congratulations, you little guy. And yes, before you ask, over here in Australia, we pronounce it Sega and not Sega. That's just the way we say it ever since the SC3000 was released. Anyway, the Master System, known as the Sega Mark III in Japan, was originally made as an update to Sega's aging SG-1000 line of video game consoles. When Sega decided to bring it overseas, it was marketed as a direct competitor to Nintendo's successful NES home video game console. It was superior to the NES, graphically, with a larger colour palette, without the need for any additional hardware, as shown as something like Transbot, which was released on a 32KB game card of all things. However, the NES beat out the Master System in America a lot. Note how I said in America. The infamous video game crash of 1983 basically only happened in America, so Nintendo's revitalization and stranglehold on the video game market at the time didn't exactly translate over to other countries. That, and combined with Mattel's borderline stupidity when it came to marketing and distributing the NES, it basically spelled the downfall of Nintendo in the 8-bit Australia of 1987. Compared to the NES, the Master System was priced aggressively at roughly $100 less for the base system, and software for the console only cost $19.95 at the minimum. Speaking of software, Sega embraced the video game rental market wholeheartedly, compared to Nintendo's hatred of the game rental market, which overall just hurt Nintendo more. The Master System looked much sleeker than the blocky grey toaster that is the Mattel NES. Had more features, such as a card slot, 3D glasses, and FM synth support that, well, sadly was never used outside of Japan, even though a lot of games that supported it weren't even released in Japan. In the 1990s, Sega redesigned the Master System and released that model at an even cheaper price. Sega did have to remove quite a few features from it though. Things like the card slot, which, to be honest, isn't that big of a deal as only like 5 card games were released over here, and inexplicably, the AV composite out, leaving only the inferior RF out. The Master System shown here is the cheaper revision, the Master System Model 2. On the console, we have the power switch, the pause button, the 2 controller ports, and the cartridge slot, covered by this neat flap here. On the back, we've got the channel select switch, the power input, and the RF output. The controller is a bit weird. We've got this rounded square for the D-pad, which I personally quite like, and 2 buttons, all pretty, standard for the time, except that there's no start button on the controller, meaning that you can't pause without stretching over to the console annoyingly. Since I can't plug this thing into my Dazzle, because, RF, I'm unfortunately gonna have to switch to emulation here, though to be honest, maybe that's a good thing, as the RF output is quite crap on the Master System Model 2. Alright, let's start off with a classic, Alex Kidd in Miracle World. You play as the huge-fisted, rice ball-loving boy named Alex, who traverses through about 17 or so levels to kill the final boss in a game of paper, scissors, rock. Japan, man. In fact, all the bosses are fought in a paper, scissors, rock match. That's really weird, but hey, it's different. You can run, jump, and punch, and that's all, and more often than not, you'll die. A lot. In fact, I've never actually beaten this game. I probably will, but I just haven't yet. Overall, I do quite like this game. It's got decent controls, great graphics, and iconic music. Plus, it comes built in on the Sega Master System too, so you have no excuse to not play it if you own one. Okay, how about this game? Battle Outrun. Oh my god, this game is This is basically Sega's knockoff of Chase HQ, in which you drive through upgrading your car to try and catch criminals by running them off the road. Also, you play as Miller from Metal Gear Solid. Joy. Okay, Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh, this one's a classic. You go through a bunch of zones, running with intense speed, collecting Chaos Emeralds, and beating Dr. Eggman at the 3rd act of all the zones. The zones are also different to the original version on the Mega Drive, so, if you're looking for a new experience, then here you go. Unlike the Mega Drive version, there's no special stages in which you collect any Chaos Emeralds. You have to find them in the levels. As such, the levels are larger, accommodating for more exploration. Overall, if you're looking for a new Sonic experience and haven't tried this one out, then give it a go. I don't think you'll regret it. And now from the first Sonic game all the way to the last released on the Master System, Sonic Spinball. This is high quality, low frame rate, janky physics, mighty stage graphics, and decent, albeit short music. There's also a version of this on the Game Gear which is apparently slightly better than this, but I'm not going to bother to try that version out. Now, taz-mania. Based off the cartoon, you go through levels, spinning, jumping, eating, and for some reason, eating. Bombs. You eat bombs. There's a few bosses, but they're stupidly easy to fight. So easy that I've actually beaten this game before. Though definitely, one thing's for sure. This game is the most accurate 8-bit recreation of Australia in video gaming. And finally, the last game I have in my collection, Teddy Boy. This game's a port of the arcade game Teddy Boy Blues by Sega, which was based off a Japanese pop song, okay? You go around, jumping to dodge enemies, and shooting Shocker Combat Men from Kamen Rider, hopping Daruma dolls, and snails. Yeah, sure. And try to get the highest score. There's also bonus stages where you try to shoot dice blocks and find tiny plushies of Godzilla and beer. Japan's weird. Overall, there's definitely a load more Master System games I could talk about. About 300 more. But then again, I only have so many games in my collection. Yeah, maybe in later reviews down the road. Overall, the Master System was intensely successful in Australia, and for some reason, Brazil. Sega stopped producing and selling Master Systems in about 1998 in Australia, a year before the launch of the Dreamcast. Guess that just goes to show you how much us Aussies love our Sega. Overall, I think that's about all I have to say on this matter. Thanks for watching. I'm out.